Hello my friends, this is Chaos Angel 16, also known as Lord of Omni, and yes, I know, but I did promise that I'm going to be looking at this video again, and so I'm going to be taking a look at this in depth, seeing as I have the freedom to do so, because I just, I love every single bit of this trailer. I just don't know how to feel. We're going to be taking a look at this again, guys. Because, oh man, I just cannot stress enough on how amazing what they added with the jobs. It's just ridiculous. So we're going to be breaking things down a little bit. With that in mind, I hope you guys enjoy. So I will be recording this video live. We're going to be taking a look at this right now, right here at the moment, because there is a lot of stuff that I will be pretty much going over. Also, I'm going to turn this light on here. There's not much light going on. Yep, let's go ahead and get into this right now. So, and start. Okay. Oh my god, this music. Ever since I saw this at the very beginning. Okay, so I do want to point out that the actual frame rate, I don't know if the quality is lowered. I think this is in high quality because when recording this it was definitely something that I had to look out. Alright, so anyway, moving along, we have the red mage first, and the gauge that you see here is pretty much the red mage gauge, and it covers pretty much the white magic and the black magic. Apparently, from what they explained in the live letter, we are able to not only use, like, in terms of chain spell, how the chain spell works in terms as far as the mechanics go, is that you go in between both like white magic and black magic. In some aspects, when some spells will be longer than others, while the others are pretty much short, so you want to start with the shorter spells, like what this person's about to do right now. That is essentially one of the shortest spells that the red mage has. And this looks like the blades right here is probably a cooldown of sorts. I don't think that that's a spell of any sort there. That's most likely a cooldown. And for the next skill, they are the red mage is probably doing a, yep, that's stone. So that is the white mage skill. As you can see, the bar is, the gauge is actually increasing as things go. And then we have another cooldown for what I can tell here. Excuse me. Moving to another black spell, and then immediately using a chain spell, doing a white spell. I'm not entirely sure on this one. This looks like it's a black mage spell, and this one was most likely done with the chain spell having the crit aspect. I'm not actually going to be going into that one after this. This looks like a cooldown, as well as this one. Most likely as a buff of sorts. We never really know. We'll have to take a look at it. Now, this is what gets me right here. Now, as you can see here, this is not the only spell that we have here that seems to be one of the strongest spells. There is actually two spells in particular, for what I can tell here. This one, as well as the usual explosion spell that we have seen in literally two videos. The reveal for red mage, as well as the benchmark for Stormblood. And for what we can grab, that explosion spell was most likely the black mage aspect. This one right here is probably the white magic aspect. So that is something that we can definitely pull from that right then and there. That is very interesting. We pretty much have two ultimate spells of white magic and black magic. However, let's go back to that real quick and let me take a look at the gauge, because right now the camera is actually blocking that. So yeah, the white magic is definitely being accounted for with that spell that we saw there. Alright, so with that, let me go ahead. I am actually going to adjust this camera real quick, so give me just a second. Alright guys, we are back in business. I went ahead and pretty much rewind this video. So yeah, this part right here with that cooldown that we saw before increases the gauge of both the magic, the white magic and the black magic aspect, making it even more powerful. And as far as this this one right here, this one is a little bit unknown. We won't be able to tell what that is until later. And so from what I can see here, melee attacks actually depletes the gauge. Actually, now that I think about it, this is actually pretty interesting. For what I could tell here, oh my god, this freaking camera. Alright, so from what I can tell here, apparently, yes, apparently the melee attacks are essentially what's going to lower the gauge. The spells is what's going to increase the gauge. And as far as the melee is concerned, when you increase the gauge at a certain point, you are then able to go in and use melee skills. After which, you go ahead and repel back and then go back to your mage skills. Having a little bit of lag here. And so that seems to be essentially what the red mage is all about from what I can grasp. So to reiterate, we pretty much have the red mage. One of the aspects of the main mechanics is that you are to build up your magic spell aspects and then go in for some melee attacks, after which finish it off with either one of the white magic or black magic skills that are high tier. At the same time, we will not only with the chain spell, you will be able to actually use certain spells instantly if you were to get a crit. That right there is insane, because remember what we saw before at this part right here. Let's take a look, see here. Nope, not that part. Did you see that? We actually saw two spells being used literally at the same time. Stone, as well as one spell which looked like it was a thunder effect. It was literally used at the same time, then he used a cooldown. Again, used two spells, pretty much the fire and then the arrow, consecutively, pretty much. It was literally instant. No spell cast whatsoever. So that fire was probably a crit. And then depletes your gauge as you do melee attacks. And then a white magic spell, which looks awesome, by the way. Now, for the Dragoon. Oh my god, when I saw the Dragoon, this looks so interesting. Literally a fucking advanced version of Gerskogel. This looks sick. Okay, so let's get into this. let me take a look, see here. What is my settings on? Okay, it is 480. So this skill kept on getting to me. This looks like this skill is actually Lancet to me for some reason. I don't know why, but it appears to be like Lancet in a way. And it would make sense. Lancet has been in almost every single Final Fantasy that has a Dragoon. It is a very well trademarked skill for all Dragoons. Alright, so I'm going to pause right here. When we started the Blood of the Dragon, and actually, you know what, let me go back real quick, because when they used that Lancet-like skill, I want to see what the gauge did at the time. Immediately when you use Blood of the Dragoon, you activate it. And the second you use this Lancet-like ability, something about the gauge changed as far as the eye aspect. That was what caught my attention. Now, something about that skill, and let me go ahead and rewind back one more time. Alright, so the eye just widened just now. The eye was at least a little bit closed, but now it widened. Alright, so let's get back into this part, which interests me oh so much. Did you not just see this just now? They did not only just use wheeling thrust, but they also used the other thrust right after that. Meaning that we will be able to use both wheeling thrusts and the other thrust at the same time. Right now I'm having a hard time trying to even remember the other thrust move, but holy crap. And this is what gets me right here. Literally upon using that Lancet ability, the eye has been completely open and the aspect of the gauge has changed to red, which means that the aura around us has changed as well. And then the eye, upon using Gear Skogul, what happened when we just used Gear Skogul? Okay, Gear Skogul was used. Let's look at the timer. Nothing happened towards the timer. Wait. No, the timer actually increased upon using Gear Skogul. And then the eye immediately shuts close. After using that advanced form of Gear Skogul, when you look at it closely, we did not get out of the Blood of the Dragon. We didn't get out of it. We actually stayed into the Blood of the Dragon after using it. And plus, not to mention, the time didn't lower it either. That is very interesting. This is subject to change, though. We don't know whether or not what we're seeing right here actually works that way. But it's definitely interesting to pinpoint these things here. Now we're at Dark Knight. This is very, very interesting here. I wonder about this. Let's take a closer look at this gauge. So we have the gauge here. We're at 100%. And this looks to be like how the aspect of the MP works. They said something about blood and then black blood. Alright, so upon using that horizontal skill that we saw just now, the gauge went down. Now, one thing that gets me is that I don't know whether or not this was something that went into effect after using Dark Arts. Because essentially, we can think of it this way. Dark Arts a skill that you use in order to pretty much increase or change the effects of a said skill in your bar. Either increases the potency or it changes the effect of the weapon skill itself, would essentially cost some NP, a considerable amount, by the way. But if they were to have made a change like this, where we have this gauge separate from the MP that the Dark Arts is able to have, let's take a look, see here. Let's say that the gauge is actually going along with the Dark Arts instead, and it's completely separate from your MP. This would mean that any skills that you use after using the Dark Arts, like for instance, let's take a look here. Dark Arts is activated. They just used Blood Weapon. Here's the horizontal skill. By the way, apologies, right now it's raining outside and it's actually storming, so just want to point out that there's going to be quite a bit of noise. Anyway, okay, never mind. Forget about the Dark Arts effect. What is interesting here is that we just used Dark Arts just now, and then the freaking move escapes me. Carnage something. Oh my god, I am completely forgetting all of my skills. I haven't been on Dark Knight in forever. But what the fuck was that move again? I can't remember anymore. But essentially Dark Arts, along with our most powerful skill, which is our level 60 skill that I'm having a hard time trying to even remember what it's called. Carnage Edge? No, that's not what it's fucking called. Regardless, upon expanding our Dark Arts to use that high potency skill just now, we didn't lose any of our gauge. In fact, we actually went up on our gauge, which is pretty interesting. And then now we have grit. Grit is on, and then immediately the gauge changes with the aspect of grit being on. We immediately use the dark cover skill that is actually able to be used on yourself, which is very interesting. That makes me think on whether or not that skill is actually a cover in itself, or it's pretty much a skill that can be used regardless. It can be used on yourself, it can be used on a party member, and it negates, I wouldn't exactly say negates a physical move, but will probably lessen the damage. Alright, one thing that gets me right here is that the skill that we used just now was a skill that can only happen when we parry an enemy's attack. That is the only time you're ever able to use that skill. I noticed that right then and there. They're only attacking a dummy. So this makes me wonder, given the removal of the parry, though it's not completely removed, we will be able to use this skill regardless of the situation, or is this going to be based off of the tenacity attribute that they were talking about before? By the way, give me just a second. Alright, we're back. I was a little bit hungry, and plus not to mention thirsty. I needed to freaking get something to drink. Anyway, let's get back onto this right here. This is oh so fucking interesting right now. Everything that we're just grabbing from out of this video is ridiculous. The very fact that on how this gauge worked, we're still not sure on how the gauge truly works. Because there was a skill that the gauge depleted itself from when we used it. And I'm very interested on the other skill that we're going to be seeing after this, after all of this is done. I do believe we're actually going to be getting to that point, right now. So let's take a brief look at the gauge when it's used. Activates Dark Arts. Yep, it depletes the gauge and immediately uses the vertical skill that they showed on the new screenshot. This is literally the vertical skill that they were talking about. Looks very sick. Oh my god. Okay, excuse me for a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. I finally figured out that it's called Carve and Spit. I can't even believe how in the world I even forgot the name of that. I was thinking about Blaze Blue for some strange apparent reason and thought of Carnage Scissors. But anyway, this looks like a freaking amazing move, and I just cannot wait for this right now. So, Carve and Spit did not use any of the gauge. However, two skills did, and that was the horizontal slash and the vertical slash. The horizontal slash probably being an AoE due to the explosion effect that we saw around us. And so we're not going to be able to use the skill as often and spam it like we do with our typical AoE skills. So this one is going to be something that probably deals a good amount of potency and as well as some amity. Maybe. We don't know. And then as far as the last one, the vertical is definitely something that took a considerable chunk of the gauge. And so this one's probably going to be maybe a DPS-like skill that will deal a huge amount of potency. So we shall probably be seeing this at the very end. Probably at level 70, this skill is going to be obtained. Oh, the Bard. Guys, oh my god, the Bard. The Bard is the one of the things that I am seriously interested in right now. Let's get into this. So immediately upon starting, it looks like that was Wanderer's Minuet, and holy crap that they changed the effect on that. If that is what I think it is, and that's Wanderer's Minuet, they did say that they completely removed the aspect of the caster being in here, which I'm very thankful of, and I'm pretty sure every bard is, especially one of my friends. But holy crap, this is ridiculous. So let's take a look-see here. That looks like Venomous Bite, but holy crap that they changed the effect of it. It looks very nice. It really does. If that is what the new Venomous Bite is, I swear I already love it. And then let's take a look at Wind Bite. The effect on that looks fucking amazing. It actually looks interesting, because I'm sorry, the Wind Bite that we have right now doesn't look all that great, to be perfectly honest. It really doesn't. Especially Venomous Bite. All we're doing is just like, I do believe our buff skill, but with some poison, and that's about it. But as far as that Venomous Bite and Wind Bite, if those are literally what I think it is, they did a good job on the animation. And now, here we are with Mage's Ballad being posted up. Then immediately switches into Army's Paean. Alright, here we are with another flute-light skill. I don't really know what that one did, to be perfectly honest. It looked pretty much not raid-wide, but AoE-wide. It looked to be a form of buff. You know what? One thing that probably gets me is Army's Paean, the skill that pretty much increases the song's effect. I honestly think that was maybe a animation change for that skill. That would make a lot of sense, but I really don't know whether or not if that's truly the case. And then Wanderer's Minuet. Oh, so Wanderer's Minuet wasn't even on at the time. That was... Oh, okay. That is a very, very new effect on Wanderer's Minuet. Holy shit. Alright, so here we are with that oh so epic looking skill. Actually, wait a second. If we weren't in Wanderer's Minuet, then that means that we just did freaking Imperial Arrow without Wanderer's Minuet. Are you serious? We just literally use... What? And what is that skill? We need to... No, we need to go back into this. I'm sorry. We need to go back into this. I'm trying not to make this video long, but holy crap. The Venomous Bite, Wind Bite, Mage's Ballad. We literally just did Imperial Arrow without Wanderer's Minuet. Holy shit, guys. And look at the effect. These effects are ridiculous. Alright, so here we have the Scholar. That was one of the page skills that they showed us in the screenshots. And then this is the Tether. Upon that, apparently the Tether actually heals. Wait a second. Was this over time or was it done? It looks like it's over time. Alright, so here we are with the ninja. The way on how the ninja works is that when we use a weapon skill, the scroll that we have here pretty much goes up, and that is when we're able to use pretty much a summon. That, or pretty much another skill that they showed us right here. There it is. And then onto the side, I'm just going to pause it real quick, then onto the side of the scroll we have the this little fan here that represents Huton. As we are using some of our weapon skills, the third tier, as far as like, let's see here. Actually, you know what? No, I don't believe the third tier is what's being used here. We just used a cooldown just now. Alright, so here we are with another skill. Now this skill right here is what's interesting. This skill is ridiculous, because if this isn't any indication what I think it is, freaking ninja is going to be so fucking amazing. So in this, like, pretty much square, like, ley lines like ability, because that's literally what it looks like. This looks like a form of ley lines that's pretty much a ninja aspect, that if we were to stay into this, we get instant freaking mudras. We can use mudras multiple times without cooldown. That is insane. Do you even see this right now? And it looks like we're able to do 3 actual freaking Oh my god. All of those Rhytons. Ah! 3 Rhytons in a row, guys. Alright, so the machinist is one of the things that actually confuses me quite a bit. So we're going to be looking at this a little, quite a bit here. So in this gauge, this one gauge that we have right here, this is the heat gauge. When, upon attacking with various weapon skills, like this flamethrower that we have here, here we are at the middle point of it, and this, I don't know what this is probably going to do. It's probably going to increase the amount of damage that the machinist is able to do. This one right here is the ammo aspect. This is the ammunition. And then there are going to, of course, be certain skills that take off the heat and pretty much decrease. This may be decreasing the damage a little bit. We don't really know for sure, but we essentially increase the amount of heat in order to deal a lot of damage, and then at the same time expend it in some actions that are at the middle point. We may be able to use certain actions. This one right here is very interesting because we don't even know what it actually does. It looks like it is doing some form of buff for the job. That or analyzing something. There was one skill that he used after using that one just now. And then this one looks very interesting. That looks very nice. And then we have another one that pretty much does lasers. Laser rounds. Oh my god, no. The warrior. Let's not get into the warrior, guys. Oh my god, the fucking warrior. They said that they were going to be nerfing the warrior, but from what I see here, I very well doubt that. Before we get into this, let me take a second to freaking bring up some lighting real quick. All right, that's a great deal of lighting. Holy crap. All right, let's get back into this. The warrior. Holy crap, guys. This is ridiculous on warrior. They said that they were going to nerf this job a little bit in order to do some balances, but I highly doubt that. And once we see this right here, okay. So we got the gap closer on our gauge. The way on, I believe what they said is that they completely gotten rid of stacks. And the way on how it works is that we generate our inner beast per se with this gauge. And so upon doing all of your skills, you increase this gauge of your inner beast, which determines the amount of, like, I guess, amity and amount of damage depending on what stance you are in. And can pretty much expend it to do certain skills, like this multi-punch literal forbidden chakra-like attack. They literally just flipping stole the monk's skills, and they're like, you know what? Your forbidden chakra attack looks very interesting. We're gonna go ahead and use that and freaking double our power. Yeah. So screw you guys. We're gonna be the OP DPS / tank / healer type job. Yeah. Alright, so one thing that caught me right here is that upon changing stance, they use... Wait, did it use half? Okay, yes. It essentially uses half of what you have already obtained in order to switch stances. Now this is something that is going to definitely determine how things will work out in raid tier and various other things. So you're gonna have to literally make sure that you keep an eye on your gauge before changing stances. Now upon using this new skill, this skill is what, from what I can tell, is going to enable you to do freaking 5 fell cleaves, which is ridiculous. 4 to be exact, actually. And upon getting literally 100% on your gauge, use Inner Beast, and immediately go straight in doing freaking multiple. Oh my god, are you serious? That is not even fair. Alright, so before we get into the summoner, there is, oh wow, there's a lot to actually go by on this, because we get to freaking summon Bahamut, my friend. We get to summon Bahamut. What in the world is going on with this job, son? Alright, so they immediately gotten their Aether Flows as well as their Aether Atonement already stacked in this. So they already went ahead, got their Aether Atonement, is going in to Dreadmore Trance, and immediately uses Death Flare. They go ahead and get their Aether Flows all set, using a new skill that looks like it's a new skill, but to be perfectly honest, seeing what we have here, these look like new animation for our dots. Because from what we can see here, they definitely put some dots onto the dummy so that they can use. I'm completely forgetting. I'm completely Fester. They just used Fester right onto the dummy, which you can only use in order to obtain Aether Atonement stacks to pretty much get into Dreadmore Trance. That is the only way you can do that. You have to make sure you have your dots up in order to have Fester work for this effect. So those have to be new animations for our dots. And then upon going into Dreadworm Trance, the Garuda Eggy then changes, pretty much sacrifices themselves, or pretty much goes away for the time being for 14 seconds. We get Bahamut on our side. Oh, wait a second. The 15 seconds is not really something that's out on here. Upon using the Death Flare, let's see here. Now we're actually getting, it's 20 seconds, guys. Holy shit. So essentially 2 times after going into Dreadworm Trance 2 times, oh my god, the gauge fills to the point where we will be able to go into this form of mode where the Garuda Eggy disappears and we summon fucking Bahamut. For literally 15 seconds. And uses freaking Death Flare. Oh! Okay, so let's go back a little bit to see what this skill was that we saw in the benchmark. We're seeing it a little bit clearly now. Now, this Ruin looks like Ruin 4. To be perfectly honest, I do believe this is the Ruin 4 that they were talking about in the live letter that we can see here. Which looks fucking epic, by the way. It looks even more amazing than Ruin 3. And Ruin 3 looks sick all on its own. One thing that gets me is that the effect looks sort of like Ravana's wings, and I really wonder about that. Also, we actually trigger Death Flare by using a form of skill I don't know. It's probably one of the pet skills that we have on our bar by itself. But we are literally able to trigger Death Flare. I really wonder about any other skills that we are able to use with Bahamut being on the field. And again, I cannot stress enough about the fact that if we were to literally be in raids and we have multiple freaking summoners, my friends, multiple summoners summoning down Bahamut into the field. Oh my god, it's crazy. Alright, so we move on to White Mage, which is very interesting. The way on how it works is the pedal aspect. The number of pedals, pretty much, from what I remember, affects not only your heals, but also the speed in which your casts are. There are a number of things that we can't really grasp from these, because some of the aspects of these skills aren't really determined just by visual. We need to actually read what these effects do. But of course we have the rescue skill, which can actually rescue dragons from dying due to using their jumps. I'm sorry. Alright, so the Black Mage is one of the most amazing things that they could ever have done for the Black Mage, which is giving us an AoE Thunder. Oh my god! Look at it! Look at that Thunder 4! It is everything that I wanted for the Black Mage! Oh! So, anyway, let's go back and take a look at what some of these things do. Immediately upon using Blizzard, we have our Umbral Ice stacks, literally right here. And for some strange apparent reason, we have the 12, which represents the Umbral stacks. As to what this entails, I still cannot figure out exactly what it does. I do believe that's going on for a Nokian, which would make a lot of sense. Let's rewind it real quick. Because we do activate a Nokian, which moves this bar. So yes, this is essentially something that goes along the lines of a Nokian. And depending on like the amount of time in which you have a Nokian up, even though it is permanent, what I mean is when, depending on how effective you are in using your skills, you will have like this part right here of the gauge light up. And it triggers a skill that we're able, a spell that we're able to use, which is called Foul. We'll be seeing in a few seconds. Now, I don't know in particular what this does, but what this goes along with is a skill that gives us the opportunity to use 3 spells without any casting whatsoever. So they're literally 3 swift casts. We just expanded 1, expanded 2, and then expanded 3. Alright, so going back to what I was saying before with that crystal, this right here just reset it, and then we now have this crystal-like thing pretty much embedded into the gauge and is lighting up. We are immediately using a skill for which I cannot believe I can't remember right now, Convert, in order to get our MP back, in order to use the new spell, which is known as Foul. Now, one of the things about this skill is that they said something about it increasing damage over time. we don't know particularly what that would truly entail, whether or not that basically means that upon being in Enochian, our damage gets buffed over time and increases and increases, or really it buffs us, but everything afterwards is essentially it stays constant for what I can understand here. Now we go into Astrologian. Astrologian is another one that actually confuses me a bit because I don't truly play Astrologian all that much. It is one of the main healers that I like to play other than the other two because of the aspect of the cards. So for what we see here, we just used the skill that was in the benchmark, and that caused one of, if I can remember correctly, let me see here, what was it known as? I guess we'll just say the lady. The lady was chosen here and was then given to the ninja. Now this is a field-like cooldown that over time does a certain effect. We have a new DPS skill. And then this ability that we've seen in the screenshots actually selects multiple cards at random and places it into our gauge. We have the spire and we have the arrow. And it looks like we have something above it that causes us to, I think it gives us a certain effect that's above the actual card itself, which makes me wonder. Oh, I see. Let's rewind real quick. So literally upon doing this skill, we have the Lord, which is being posted up right here for where the main two cards, the Lord and the Lady, is chosen. And then we have a selected card, which is a card that we selected upon using the skill, and then a held card, meaning that we literally have 3 cards that we use at the same time. One that we can pretty much use for either ourselves or for another person, and then another that can pretty much be expanded upon later on, or we can just keep it held regardless. This is essentially something that we don't have to do spread multiple times. This is literally a randomized action that pretty much pulls random luck. Random luck aspect right here. Whatever skill that you have on whatever card that you get 3 cards respectively. And let's take a look a little bit more what I was talking about with what is above. Not only does it do that, it also gives a literal predetermined buff on top of what was given to you randomly. So with that in mind, it not only gives you extended or expanded or let me see here, what was the other third aspect? It was extended, expanded, and then increased. I guess I can't remember what that term was again, but pretty much it gives you 3 of the following on top of that. Because if you were to see closely here, the extended is on the arrow right now. That is ridiculous. This skill is ridiculous. And then, of course, we get to use all 3 cards. One for one person, one for the other, and then one that goes onto the enemy. And if we go back, the AoE that was placed at the very beginning, if you haven't noticed, over time, it got brighter and brighter and brighter until it exploded upon doing all of these aspects here. I can't remember what that move was for this for the Astrologian that does like healing and stuns at the same time, but that was what actually exploded upon the time reaching its limit. Here we are for the monk, which finally they are going to have a form of utility within level 70. Now we have pretty much another monk on the side while we are doing some damage right here. And so what we have on this gauge is that we have the chakra and the lightning stacks, which looks oh so simplified, let me tell you. It looks so nice. Alright, so let's go ahead and rewind back real quick, because it seems like we immediately already have about 4 chakra stacks, but we gain one somehow. Alright, so using one skill for what I can tell here, we just used a cooldown and then literally used boot. Was that boot shine? Yeah. Yes, that was boot shine, and we immediately obtained 5 stacks of chakra just now, and immediately used forbidden chakra. After which, using a forbidden chakra, we gained another chakra right afterwards when using boot shine. So boot shine again gains a stack, then uses forbidden chakra, uses boot shine again, and gains another upon expanding it. So essentially one of the cooldowns is that using your weapon skills, I don't know if this is mainly going to depend on using boot shine, or you can do this for other weapon skills. But one of the cooldowns that we just used essentially gives us chakra stacks without having to use the actual the action for it. So you can pretty much go into battle with 5 stacks, expand it with your forbidden chakra, and then gain it in battle. That is amazing. And then again, I cannot stress enough, they even detailed something about some raid utility here, where here, this ability is actually a buff. It is a damage buff that pretty much grants a damage increase, similar to that of Battle Litany, though that one is more of crits. This one is for increased damage for the party. And so when this is used, when actually given, you are able to not only give an increase of damage to the party, but it even gives increase of damage yourself as well. And from what I can tell, there's another aspect of this when any of your party members attack using this damage increase, and I swear to all that is holy if this is literally true, you gain chakra stacks. Guys. I don't know what to even say here right now. This is, I'm not even at the last job yet. We're not even at Paladin, and there's just so much shit going on right now. It is fucking amazing. Okay, Samurai. The one job I've been waiting for so long. The animations on this job. The animations on this job. The animations on this job. Let me tell you. Alright. Now, let's get into this. Samurai. Now, we have two things here. We have the kin, and then we have this, the styles here. Now, thankfully, this is most likely not going to be along the same lines as Monk in a way where how we open skills, weapon skills, we go by Oppo stance and so on and so forth and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't look like we're going that route for Samurai, which I'm very happy about. But from what I can tell here, we already have 50% of kin accumulated with our blade. So upon using a weapon skill, we already have about 5%. We just expanded, we just used some of our actual kin, which was about 25% of it for this weapon skill right here, which may be a cooldown. It may not, it possibly be. It possibly might. We don't know. But it doesn't look like that would be the case because of the fact that we have this kin here. We may be able to use that skill twice in a row, to be perfectly honest, without any form of cooldown. We gain it again using, for what I can tell here, another weapon skill, which could probably be the second weapon skill. And let's rewind back one more time. This last one seems to be an actual one of the three weapon skills that we have here. The first one was the Crescent Moon Slash, which is what I'm calling it right now because we don't truly even know the name. But the Crescent Moon Slash, which was the first skill that we ever saw of the Samurai and was the only skill that we've seen so far. This one is the third one, which is using the actual flower aspect. So this is one of the final skills. So here we are back to the first part of the rotation. We use a bit of our kin again, and let's take a look at how much that actually used. We accumulated 40. We have 45, and we went down to 20. So that's again 25 that we have used for these certain skills that takes a bit of our kin. You know, when I'm thinking about it, I keep on saying kin, but I feel as though it's actually Sen because they literally call it the Sen system. But I have no idea why I feel like I heard kin in the live letter for some strange apparent reason. So let's say Sen. Let's say Sen. Let's just say Sen. I don't know whether or not if that's the case, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say Sen. We accumulated Sen, so yeah. Let's go back again real quick. We just used stage 2 of our rotation attack in order to gain a bit of our Sen. And then use the Crescent Moon Slash in order to, again, get our stack right there. We then upon obtaining 2 aspects of our Sen, expend that in order to use the typical slash that we've seen in many instances. And for what I can see here, we did not lose any of our Sen. We only lost those 2. And then let's see here, we used a cooldown, which I do believe they said something about I. So that skill just now literally gives us the opportunity to immediately use those 3 skills without going into the rotation and obtaining the 3 stances, the 3 styles, I mean. We immediately obtain 3 styles after using that cooldown, and at 50%, we're able to use the full, I cannot for the life of me actually say the skill itself. Setsugetsuka, for the life of me, I was gonna butcher that name, but that's literally what it is called. That is the skill right there that we are using, and is probably going to be the final skill that we get at level 70. That is pretty much going to be the final skill that we get. And then the Paladin. The Paladin has gotten so many good changes. Let's take a look at what we get here. So we literally used I, for the life of me, cannot remember what that skill is actually called. I cannot believe I can't remember. But right now we are in Sword. We are in Sword Oath right now. So we're establishing some. We're establishing something from out of Sword Oath. I don't know what. This may be a form of buff. We are not too sure. But we are accumulating something, because as we use our first attack, which is Fast Blade, it goes by 5 points. We then use Circle of Scorn, and then use, I do believe that was Riot Blade. We used Riot Blade, and what? We're able to use Royal Authority from Riot Blade? We immediately get to 50% on the gauge. I am sorry. And then this skill right here is interesting. We literally call upon lightning like Thor and fucking slash the dummy. And it seems like that was a dot. We must have placed a dot on it. We then go into using a holy skill. A single target holy. Oh, wait a second. Okay, so the holy is the one thing that did not actually use up that gauge just now. However, Sheltron did. Sheltron actually used a bit of our actual gauge. So apparently some of our cooldowns is going to take a bit of our gauge. We then switch into Shield Oath and use our AoE horizontal attack, which is pretty much the spin attack from Legend of Zelda. And then we use this skill right here, which is very interesting, by the way. They actually delve into this skill quite a bit in the live letter, and what it does is pretty interesting. It's an actually OP-like skill. What it does, and I'm actually going to go onto this skill again, even though I have my headphones off. Alright, so what this skill actually does, and it's actually pretty interesting that we don't use any of our gauge when activating this skill to begin with, because I would have thought that that would be the case. What this skill does is that the wings of light that we see here is a form of protection. This is a 120-second cooldown that essentially reduces damage for anyone who is behind you at the time. So this is essentially any raid tier that you have Like, let's say that we're going into, oh, wow. We can actually, can we level sync? I don't believe we can. Oh, wait, we can. Oh, my God. Let's say we level sync freaking out, A12 Savage. So essentially we have this skill here. And then on top of the fact of we may not even truly need the LB3 at that time, but let's say that we have the LB3 for tank and then we just like use this skill from the Paladin on top of one of the tanks, the other tanks using the LB3. Try and guess exactly how much damage we would actually even take. Probably not as much given the fact that we are level 70, and then of course there's the fact of us not truly even needing the LB3 to begin with, but we probably wouldn't even take any damage from Alexander's ultimate attack, which is a wipe attack. It is literally a wipe skill. So yeah, that is what that does. And I do believe they gave us a percentage of 25%. I think that was the number. I'm not too sure. But anyway, guys, that is everything. And I tried my best in order to put everything that we have here into just however many minutes I could ever freaking place it in. This is going to be oh so much. Oh my God, I am going to be watching this multiple times because, I'm sorry, the samurai, the samurai looks so nice. Oh man. Alright, so with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown of the job actions and so on and so forth. We are literally 3 weeks in. 3 weeks and we're almost there. I will be making a video on my thoughts and general opinions on some of what I have seen from the live letter and whatnot. But for now, I shall see you guys in the next video. This is fucking ridiculous. Like, honestly, I just cannot even fathom the changes that they have done to this game. Even without the stuff that we get from Stormblood, what we have gained from the changes of the class role and then the gauges that we have obtained is going to make what we play right now oh so innovative. Like, I can tell you right now, this is going to be such an innovative way to play the game at launch. I honestly cannot wait for this. Anyway, guys, I've already used up so much time. I shall see you guys in the next video. You guys take care.